Hi everyone, I'm Dr. D. Today we're going to be talking about the relationship between communication and the social construction of reality. So, naming things is what makes us aware of them. It's a central aspect of the social construction of reality theory. Social construction argues that when an idea is communicated, especially when it's communicated repeatedly and reinforced, it becomes real. The process of communicating an existing idea by repeating it, reinforcing it, and supporting it is called reification. So if I want to reify the idea that men and women are equals, I can just communicate it and say men and women are equal. I can behave in ways that line up with that idea. I can talk about it. Every time I communicate something that either directly says or implies men and women are equals, I'm reifying that idea. That's the process of reification. It's making something more real. And the social construction of reality theory says that the way that we make things real is by constructing them. In other words, by communicating them. If we do not communicate an idea, if we do not name it, if we do not talk about it, then it essentially doesn't exist. In this class, we're going to use communication to explicitly and clearly name the problems that we want to talk about, the ones that are relevant to this course and to gender. The Johnson PDF reading that I asked you to read comes from his book. And on page 2 of this book, it's called Privilege, Power, and Difference. You can get a used copy for real cheap online. On page 2 of his book, Johnson says, if we dispense with the words, we make it impossible to talk about what's really going on and what it has to do with us. So he's essentially saying that if we don't talk about it, then it's impossible to, right? If we don't use the words, we can't talk about it and it's not real. So he's really arguing for an idea of the social construction of these ideas. In a TED Talk that you're going to watch during Module 3, Crenshaw argues that the word intersectionality is so important because it addresses a problem that's been ignored for so long, that's essentially been invisible, because until recently, the word intersectionality, at least in the way that she uses it, didn't exist. She says when there's no name for a problem, you can't see a problem. And when you can't see a problem, you pretty much can't solve it. So for your discussion leading assignment, I want you to name a problem, ideally a problem that needs reifying. In his book, Johnson, and in the reading that you had for this week, Johnson identifies 2 problems. First, he says, we do not get along. Now, this is a big, broad problem. It's absolutely true, and Johnson takes an entire book to sort of address the way that he thinks we should go about solving this problem. It's a little bit too broad for our purposes. But the second problem that he presents is that we have to use these emotionally laden words in order to address the bigger issues. And that's a problem that we can address in this class. So I want you to find a similar problem in your groups. Discuss it, talk together, make sure it's relevant to your module and to your topic. But find a problem that you think is interesting, that you want to talk about, that you want to shine some light on, that you want to really highlight and make real so that we can start solving it. Eventually, you'll need to find evidence to support your claim, to prove that your problem is in fact true and is in fact a problem, and you'll need to engage your classmates in discussion about that problem. My hope is that the more we communicate about these often hidden problems, the more aware of them we become, and the more likely we are to solve them. That's how we're going to create our new reality, by communicating about the issues that are important to us.